I think Jurassic World is a good movie generally, and the CGI, like I said, and animatronics that were taking place in Jurassic World 2015 was also fantastic. It triggered some emotions that was invoked in me from the original Jurassic Park from 1993. So, in my opinion, Jurassic World was a great movie, but it is not. It can never be the original Jurassic Park.
Welcome to Dino Park Media. My name is Samuel, and today with me I have another YouTuber, Teshe, from the YouTube channel Teshe, which is pretty great. So he's going to be joining me today to talk about Jurassic World. Teshe, why don't you go ahead and say hello?
Hi everyone from the internet. My name's Teshe, and I am your fellow Jurassic Park fan.
Yeah, and dude, it's been incredible to be able to get to know you for a little while. We did a video a little while ago, but today we actually get to do a collaboration video on reflecting on Jurassic World, the 2015 movie that really reinvigorated the franchise and really brought back Jurassic Park and Jurassic World into the limelight once again. And but the question that everybody's probably clicking on this video asking in their minds right now is, was Jurassic World actually great? Because there's a lot of people that, myself included, that look back at this movie and have nothing but love for it. I mean, I liked it. I like this movie. This movie was amazing to me. It's my second favorite Jurassic film after the original Jurassic Park 1993. But a lot of people also hate it in the idea, thinking that it's just a retread of JP1 and thinking like it's just all nostalgia, you know, like it's not really actually a great movie. So we need to go through the facts today. We're going to be looking at different aspects of the movie, different aspects of the reception, and then hopefully by the end of this video we can answer, was Jurassic World actually great? So stepping up, first things first, first question, Teshe, I want to know, what's your personal opinion on Jurassic World? I kind of shared mine a little bit, but what's your specific idea of like, if Jurassic World is a good movie or not?
Honestly, Jurassic World was a good movie generally. I say that it's a good movie because the CGI was good, the plotting was good, the characters were interesting, and the story was progressing as where you can see the characters develop and becoming better from what they were in the past. Therefore, I think Jurassic World is a good movie generally. And the CGI, like I said, and animatronics that were taking place in Jurassic World 2015 was also fantastic. It triggered some emotions that was invoked in me from the original Jurassic Park from 1993. So, in my opinion, Jurassic World was a great movie, but it can never be the original Jurassic Park.
Well, I'm totally with you on that. Like I 100% agree with you, because the original Jurassic Park, it has so much going for it. But namely also the idea that it's the first movie of its kind. Like not just the first Jurassic Park or Jurassic World film, but it's the first movie where we actually get to see CGI dinosaurs that look like they're living and breathing right there, right alongside man. Like nothing in cinema had been done like that before, and you'll never be able to, you know, like do that first thing ever again. You know, like you can kind of do like the nostalgia wave back to the original, which Jurassic World definitely rode that train. I mean, people that say that it's a nostalgia trip, Jurassic World is 2015, like yeah. I mean, I will totally hand that to them. It's a nostalgia trip, but it's also the idea that Jurassic World was also self-aware, that they knew that once the lightning had been let out of the bottle, you can never get it back in there. You know, you can never redo and have the exact beats, moment for moment, feelings of the original Jurassic Park. The original Jurassic Park is literally seeing a dinosaur for the first time. You know, the entire audience seeing a dinosaur for the first time with that Brachiosaurus. You can never recreate that moment. However, you can have definitely homages back, you know, back to the original one, which they did in Jurassic World, but then also do a little bit of tweaking. And so for me, like the reason that this film is my second favorite in the franchise is because JP1 had that sense of awe and wonder, and then ultimately at the end, respect for nature. Like at the beginning, there's not the respect for nature that Malcolm was warning about, that we end up realizing that you need to have by the end. And then that's alluded to again in Jurassic World, but it's not necessarily respecting nature for what it is, but respecting nature for not meddling with it. And we see that with the hybrids in Jurassic World 2015, that when you meddle with nature, when you screw around with what's already been established, you mess things up. And so I personally am a huge fan of Jurassic World, also because I just like seeing the park open. A lot of Jurassic Park fans, Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, they like the dinosaurs and like that's good for them. But for me, I've always been fascinated by theme parks too, so like that's a huge thing for me. Like
if I may intervene, so essentially like that's what I realized with most people who love Jurassic World. It's basically like Jurassic Park, but Jurassic Park, as we know in the movie, it wasn't like finally done where visitors can come all over the world to visit the dinosaurs and give their personal opinion. Instead, they got like a paleontologist, a chaotician, lawyers to see like if the park can be opened and if it is safe enough. Right. So as we know, in Jurassic Park, nothing worked out. And then in Jurassic World, the opposite happened. So basically people all around the world come and look at dinosaurs for years and years, and they got bored of them and they think they are like normal day animals. As Claire Deering said, it's like nothing more than a regular cow for them nowadays, because they got used to dinosaurs being alive. Secondly, you also brought up the similarities between Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. For instance, the nostalgia, for example. Yep. We had the Brachiosaurus scene in Jurassic Park where Alan Grant, Lex, and Tim, they were on the tree, and they were showing that Brachiosauruses aren't the bad guys. They are lovable, they are very friendly, and they are very touchy and funny at the same time, which gives you a connection and a special bond with these dinosaurs. And we got that same feeling with Jurassic World when we saw the Apatosauruses that were killed by the Indominus Rex, when Owen Grady and Claire went to the field and to their paddock and saw them die and getting deteriorated, and they were like leaning forward with them and were feeling the animals, and they were feeling really sad, and they were basically feeling super emotional because Claire realized that these dinosaurs aren't only numbers, they're also living things that have emotions. And that gave us also another new path to say that these dinosaurs are emotionally attached to humans and they are living things, which makes them mainly interesting to Jurassic World viewers.
I 100% agree. Yes. And like we can continue to talk about the good things of this movie, but for some reason if we look at this objectively, there's some people that have criticisms too. So let's continue to break things down a little bit. Let's go to our next question. Do you think it was a smart move on Universal, Colin Trevorrow's part, to go back to Nublar, to actually go back to Isla Nublar, the first island, and to redo? I mean, I will admit that there are some redone beats in the plot between Jurassic World from Jurassic Park. So, like, do you think that it was actually a good decision to do some of those retreads in the Jurassic World plot?
I think it was a good idea. It wasn't a great idea because you do want to see some similarities from the old movies, paying some respects to what have happened before, which may attract fans even more because we want to see what happened back in the days and like see them in a newer version, which is pretty interesting. But the problem is with Jurassic World, sometimes it feels kind of repetitive compared to the old movies with the nostalgia, because they pay too much respect to what happened before instead of having their own story where you can see like the characters have their own special interests where they don't have to relate to the older characters and they have their own ground. And yeah, it's interesting that Colin Trevorrow added Isla Nublar. I would have wanted to see like other islands, for example, Isla Matanceros, or Isla Sorna maybe again. But it's not a bad idea that he added Isla Nublar because we have never seen the park open. So the fact that he introduced this new idea of the park opening up is a great idea for starting the Jurassic World franchise, which I agree with most Jurassic World fans that it is a pretty great introduction movie to start the Jurassic World franchise rolling.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's actually like that last part that you said is exactly the reason that I think that Colin Universal's choice to go back to Nublar in order to launch the Jurassic World part of the franchise was a fantastic decision because they absolutely needed to just to say, hey, we are acknowledging that Jurassic Park came before. If they were going to they needed to distinguish the fact that this was not just a reboot, this was a reestablishing or a reinvigoration of the franchise. It was not a hard fast reboot like the Amazing Spider-Man was to the Sam Raimi.
Yeah,
right?
I see what you mean.
This is a continuation, and so I think in order to be able to perfectly show that to the audience that this is actually a continuation of the Jurassic Park franchise, going to Nublar was genius, especially because they built the park in a different spot. So they didn't clear out the old park, and then we actually get to see the old park. Because like I saw Jurassic World in 2015. I saw Jurassic World in theaters like I think like 5 or 6 times. You know, like because I was just like hooked on this movie, and I was just like actually I think it was at least 6. Yeah, I think it was at least 6 times I saw it in theaters. And
You're hooked. I've only seen it like 3 times actually.
Oh, dude.
At the cinemas.
And so, but every time that I watched it, the first time I watched it, I'll go back to the first time when you actually see Zach and Gray like milling around, escaping from the Indominus. They're milling around. They come across like the broken like a little Jeep, not Jeep, but like golf cart thing. Like they come across that, and then they look up, and you see the original doors to the original visitor center.
The main gates, yeah.
Yep, and then immediately I'm like, oh, and then they go in, and you see that there's still the leftovers of the banner of when dinosaurs ruled the earth.
When dinosaurs ruled the earth, yeah.
Oh, dude, like all of that just kick in the pants to my Jurassic Park fandom. You know, like to my personal like fananinity, whatever the word is. But you know, but like that specifically was the connection that I needed as a fan to be able to go like, okay, I'm going to be invested in the rest of this movie because I know that they're trying to give props to the original park. Now, you'd also had that alluded to earlier in the movie, which was very wise, with Lowry's character wearing the Jurassic Park T-shirt, right? Mm-hmm. That was also a very smart move because then that was the first
respecting
moment that you
homage.
recognized. Exactly, that was the first moment you recognized this is not a reboot. This is actually them saying that park actually existed. This is the same universe. And so I think that going to Nublar, being able to establish the fact that, you know, this is the continuation of the Jurassic Park franchise was brilliant. I personally think that plot-wise and also specifically gaining the trust of the fans, going to Nublar was genius. But the second question has to do with plot that I think is actually very important to think about here. Were super hybrids. So the reason I say super hybrids is because now this is 2021. Now looking back at JP3, a lot of people are speculating that the Spinosaurus is actually a hybrid. Yeah, so I'm gonna say super hybrid, you know, to kind of satiate those fans. But we have the Indominus Rex, the Indoraptor. Do you think that the super hybrid way of going about things was the best option for the Jurassic franchise after Jurassic Park 3? I mean, because like, what other plots could they have explored? Because I mean, we did hear some leaks about some other things that they hadn't planned for JP4, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm glad they didn't go that route. But I mean, like, let's go back to the original question. Were super hybrids the best option for the Jurassic franchise post JP3?
Well, I agree. It is like a great idea, actually, for having a super hybrids in the Jurassic Park universe. Because let's be honest, the first Jurassic Park movie, we explored how the dinosaurs, they couldn't be contained because they were like too strong to be contained like in a small facility. Plus, the environment didn't allow it. The second movie allowed us to see that these dinosaurs need to be respected. And on Isla Sorna, like nothing worked out, even though the engine geneticists and researchers thought everything was going to go as planned. And let's just skip Jurassic Park 3 because it doesn't really have my argument here. But and the and then like you see, like we have like regular dinosaurs like the Velociraptor and T-Rex that we see often repeated again and again. Then we saw the Spinosaurus and Ceratosaurus. They weren't really that much of a threat because nobody was going to visit those islands. But in Jurassic World, now we have people who are visiting the island like in masses. And since they're they're not really interested in seeing regular dinosaurs again, like the velociraptor and T-Rex, because they're used to them. So the next best thing is to have a combination of genes from different dinosaurs and making it into one giant dino. And we got the Indominus Rex, fortunately for Jurassic World, which was super interesting. I love that idea because, let's be honest, not a lot of people have thought for Jurassic World where we're going to have a super hybrid, like you said, because we were just thinking like people are going to go to the park and something is going to go wrong. If you haven't seen the trailer, that's what mainly you think. They go to the park and something wrong is going to happen. But fortunately, we have the Indominus Rex, which is a very original idea and unique to the Jurassic Park franchise. So having this new hybrid shows that, like what you said, we have to respect nature because nothing is controllable. And they still didn't respect that. And what do we get? Indominus Rex that escaped and kills dozens of other dinosaurs as well as engine workers. So having a super hybrid was a great idea, but I think they should have just did that for the first Jurassic World movie instead of doing it for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. But that's just my opinion. Great idea. Just they didn't have to repeat it again on the second movie.
And I would agree with you. I'm not the biggest fan of the Indoraptor. I think it's a really cool design, and the fact that it exists, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna roll with it because it's there, But for JWFK, so for Fallen Kingdom, I wish that they would have either just like bought into the idea that we're doing this entirely, or that they would have just scrapped it entirely, because it felt like there was two different movies happening. It felt like that there was like the Get Off the Island movie, and then after they were off the island, then okay, now we can actually
Mansion.
Now we can put the Indoraptor part of it. So like it just kind of felt like two different movies. But that's a different conversation. Let's going back to the original Jurassic World 2015. I think that the super hybrids, specifically the Indominus Rex, was a wonderful idea. I echo that like you thought it was a good idea too, because it really furthers the idea, like what I said from the beginning of the episode here, where I was talking about that JP1 was talking about respecting nature. And then going and then realizing that we cannot control nature. But now here we are with 2015's Jurassic World. They have found a way to quote unquote control nature, and then they feel the need to meddle even more. And so not only are they at the point where they feel like they can control nature, but now they feel like they can change nature. And then that is when we realize, like, listen, human meddling in the things in the natural order of things causes chaos, and that's a huge part of it. Now this is a very controversial, possibly very controversial statement that I'm about to make here.
Oh, let me hear it.
Okay. But I do not think that the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World franchise is a dinosaur franchise. Okay? Now hear me out.
Okay, let me hear you out.
I believe it's a genetics franchise. I believe that the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World franchise is not necessarily, the dinosaurs are the getter. That's what gets people in the door. That's what
attracted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when it comes to what the actual thing is all about, it's about genetics. Even the books, because if you look back at the Lost World novel by Michael Crichton, there are actually camouflaging carnivores. And those camouflaging carnivores, that was a result of genetic meddling by humans.
Yes.
Those were hybrids, And then also, if you look into the films, even the first Jurassic Park, they even said themselves, like, we had to mix in the blood of frogs in order to be able to fill the gaps in the gene sequence, fill the gene sequence gaps in order to be able to make these dinosaurs live. So even the dinosaurs that we have in the JP franchise are themselves technically hybrids. They're not obviously super hybrids like an Indominus Rex or Indoraptor, but I think that the Indominus Rex is just the continuation of that genetic storyline. And the Indominus Rex specifically, I am a huge fan of the I-Rex. All right, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Especially even though it only happens once, the camouflaging scene that was amazing. It was epic, and it came straight out of the Lost World, like that camouflaging.
That's what also my initial reaction was when the Indominus Rex camouflaged, and when he got the engine one of the engine workers, the security guards, I forgot their names, but initially when he got him, that's what came into my mind, like the Carnotaurus scene from the Lost Worlds, because we've never seen a dinosaur ever camouflage in the Jurassic Park franchise canon-wise, and out of the sudden, when the Indominus Rex started like camouflaging and attacking people, the only thing that came up into my mind was the Carnotaurus from The Lost World, written by Michael Crichton.
Exactly. And so that's why I make the statement that this whole franchise is a genetics franchise first. It's about the genetics of InGen. It's about the meddling in the things of nature that humans are attempting to do with InGen, Biosyn, trying to create and recreate life. And so the Indominus Rex is just the ultimate amalgamation of that idea and put into the idea of like, this is chaos. You cannot control, you cannot meddle with nature and then expect good things to happen. Just to reiterate though, I mean, you say that you're a fan of the super hybrids in the Jurassic World franchise.
Yeah, super hybrid.
Right. But moving on to our next question then, like see when Jurassic World 2015 originally came out, Jurassic World was actually received very well back in 2015. And I still see a lot of fans out there, especially a lot of younger fans, that Jurassic World is like a top 2 film for them. And I mean, I'm not necessarily super young, but 26 years old, but you know, I really enjoy Jurassic World. It's my second favorite Jurassic film. Over the years, I have been becoming more privy to haters. Not just Jurassic World, not just people that don't like Jurassic World 2015. They're just like, yeah, I didn't like it. But people who are adamantly against the new movies.
Oh.
So do you think it's because of the plot? Do you think it's because of the plot, because the movie itself made people angry, or do you think that it's the effect that Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom has made it on the fandom? Because Fallen Kingdom, I think mainly in the past 2 years, 3 years, that is when I've really been seeing people hate on Jurassic World 2015 is after Fallen Kingdom came out.
So this is solely based on my past experience. So essentially before Jurassic World came out, I saw every trailer. Like I repeated it again and again every single day. Then so before the release date, some people were posting some cutscenes from the movie. And unfortunately, I was like 14 years old, so I didn't know what impact it was going to have on me. So I saw every cutscene from that movie, like most of the cutscenes. So I knew what the plot was going to be. So essentially what happened is once I got in, I was like, why am I not shocked that like the Mosasaurus ate Zara from like halfway mid-air? Like, why am I not surprised and have that shock value? It's because I've seen a lot of the cutscenes and unfortunately I'm not really surprised by them.
Sure, yeah.
But I've seen some, unfortunately, a dumb teenager. That's my fault. Yeah. But so essentially, I would say like my friends, they're not like really crazy Jurassic Park fans, but I tried to get them into it. And what they told me is Jurassic World was a great movie. It's super interesting. The plot was on point, CGI on point, animatronics on point. So basically everything was really good. But with Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, what our main problem was is that Chris Pratt, Owen Grady, he was super bland. Like he wasn't funny. He was super corny and cheesy. Because we know how Chris Pratt is. He's one of the most funniest guys in Hollywood.
Yeah, I like that guy so much.
He's like a natural at everything. And to see him in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom be this bland guy, like for example, he's like my least favorite character in the Jurassic World franchise because of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. With Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the character progression felt like a straight line. Nothing was happening. Everything was just action, action, action. Even though I've watched the movie 6 times in the cinemas when it came out. So I think that's why people are really disliking the Jurassic World franchise, because of Fallen Kingdom and not Jurassic World 2015.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that most people, like their beef with the Jurassic World franchise comes from feeling validated by the shortcomings of Fallen Kingdom. Because Jurassic World, I will say this, and see, this is actually something that I saw as like a YouTube video back in 2019. So the year after Fallen Kingdom came out, a YouTuber put out a video saying like, Jurassic World 2015 is just a member film. It's just like, so a member film is a movie that is just a part of a franchise that is supposed to help invoke nostalgia. It's supposed to invoke all the same feelings that you have of the best film from that franchise, but it's really not adding too much more to the table. You know, it's not really bringing so much to the table besides the fact that it's just overwhelming you with nostalgia. And so I definitely think that this guy definitely had good points. You know, like I think by and large, Jurassic World doesn't add tons to the Jurassic World franchise. I think that technically The Lost World adds more story, more development than Jurassic World 2015 does. However, to say that it's entirely, you know, just a retread and it's basically just Star Wars Episode 7 of the Jurassic World franchise, I would say is wrong, because it actually
that's that's a far stretch. It's too far stretched to say that, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah, and because I do think that the Indominus Rex, the super hybrid idea, was very unique, that they brought to the table, and then also bringing into the idea that there are more people out there that have nefarious intentions with dinosaurs. Specifically, but you look at Hoskins, and he actually has like these nefarious intentions for these dinosaurs. In Jurassic Park 1 and in The Lost World, the dinosaurs are wanting to be used for attractions. You know, they're wanting to be used purely for people to come see them, pay money, and that basically, of course, it's for human greed. But now I see human greed on a different level, selling it to people to use for nefarious means, for military, and then in the case of Fallen Kingdom, for black market, you know, like just
keeping them as a pet.
Yeah, keep them as a pet or hunt them or whatever you want to do. So it opens up the idea of like that dinosaurs aren't just meant to be looked at. Like, these are actually the dinosaurs, these creations. People want to sell them, and they want to use them for something besides just like putting them in a zoo. And so I think that Jurassic World brought a lot more to the table, but I will give some credit to the people that have the complaint of Jurassic World is just a retread, because I think Colin Trevorrow went out of his way to be able to say, listen, we need to relaunch this franchise by bringing back the core fans, by bringing back people to the franchise. I mean, even Bob Iger at Disney knew this with Star Wars Episode 7. That's 100% why I believe Episode 7 is like basically Episode 4 2.0, A New Hope 2.0, because of the fact that Bob Iger was like, listen, if we are going to make this moolah, we need to make sure that the fans from the original trilogy, from the fans from the prequels, they actually want to be a part of this franchise. And so I think Colin Trevorrow knew, like, listen, even if this is a retread, even if we're called out for just being people that just want to make money, like, in order for this franchise to work, we need to have the money in order to make the projects that we want to do. And there are plenty of things that we can do. Even if Fallen Kingdom was objectively not a good movie, a bad movie, it did still have a unique story. It was still unique. And then ultimately, I think the freshest form of Jurassic World media that we've gotten so far is, funny enough, Battle at Big Rock. I think Battle at Big Rock has been the way that the fans have been wanting the franchise to go for so long, but in order to get there, you need to have the interest, you need to have the fandom, you need to have the money to create these projects that you want to create. And so that's why I think that, you know, even if it is a retread, it was necessary.
But I mean, thankfully, Colin Trevorrow is on our side, because he's really listening to the fans on what we want. So, for example, I'm not trying to get out of topic real quick, but if you remember the 2015 Jurassic World Hasbro toys, they were horrible.
I remember horrible complaints about them, but I've never been huge into the toys myself.
Fortunately, I don't have any of them because I didn't live in the US, if you remember, but I didn't get any of the toys. But every time I look at YouTubers, they always complain, like the Gaming Beaver, Best in Slot. They weren't really happy about the toys. And then Colin Trevorrow, or the head director of the Jurassic Worlds, I don't know who it is, I'm sorry. I think it's Colin Trevorrow. But if there's someone superior than Colin Trevorrow, he really paid attention to us and said, hey, the fans aren't enjoying this, so we're going to hire Mattel. So thankfully, the directors and producers of Jurassic World are hearing the fans out. Even though it's not every time, they hear us most of the time, which I am really thankful for. Oh yeah, absolutely. And then Colin Trevorrow specifically just loves the fans. I mean, look no further than Neems, Nima Neems, with that movie poster guy. The movie poster guy.
Yep. Like, he was found for doing like his own, fan-made Jurassic Park, Jurassic World posters, and then Colin Trevorrow and J.A. Boyana find him. They're like, put this guy to work, They literally hire a fan in order to make a poster that I have hanging right in front of me right now. And so,
Oh man.
yeah, dude, like it's incredible how much Colin Trevorrow cares about not only the franchise, but also the people that appreciate the franchise. And so, with that all being said, I think the last question that needs to be addressed to really answer if Jurassic World is great, because what really makes great movies is the movies that stick, the movies that are remembered. Even some subpar movies that people that might have been panned back in the day are now seen as great. You know, look like if we look back to the Star Wars franchise, The Empire Strikes Back is often notoriously known for being something that was for being one of the best movies now, but then it was notoriously panned by a lot of people. A lot of people are like, "Ooh, I don't like this new dark tone. Ooh, I don't like the way that you changed everything." You know, like some people were really upset back in the day, back in 1980. But now,
yes,
here we are, and it's known as by most people as probably the best Star Wars film. And so, really, it doesn't matter what happens in the moment. It just matters if a movie has staying power and it can continue to be watched and appreciated for years and years to come. So, let's look forward to 10 years from now.
Okay.
We're past Jurassic World Dominion. We're into the next phase, kind of quote unquote Marvel's phase 2. We're in phase 2 of the Jurassic World franchise here. Do you think that people are going to look back at Jurassic World and go like, that movie was great? Or do you think that they're going to look back at it and go like, it was simply a necessary movie to reinvigorate the franchise, but nothing more?
It depends, because what's going to happen in Jurassic World Dominion, because that's what it counts. So if you finish, so initially Jurassic World, the franchise, started on a very high note. It was amazing. The fan service was amazing. Like I said, CGI, plot, animatronics on point. And it kind of came down with Fallen Kingdom. But if they finish off a little bit high, as how they started with Jurassic World for Jurassic World Dominion, I think that's where everybody will say, oh, this is an all-time classic. You should watch it. It's a great movie, even though the second one is iffy, but it's an all-time classic. So it all depends on the third movie, because you know how Jurassic Park 1 was an amazing movie. So that will lead to other people being like, what about Jurassic Park 2? What about Jurassic Park 3? Because I'm pretty sure if Jurassic Park 2 and Jurassic Park 3 were horrible, like down horrendous, nobody will be like, oh, Jurassic Park is a good movie. They would say Jurassic Park it's an okay movie, but it's like getting out of your own risk. So I'd say it depends on Jurassic World Dominion so that people can finalize their opinion and be like, the Jurassic World franchise is an amazing one. So it should be an all-time classic. And that's how I think it starts. Because, for example, in Star Wars A New Hope, it wasn't really it didn't really get a lot of money initially. When it came out, it started like blowing up after a few months. So I think the same thing is gonna happen after Jurassic World Dominion comes out. After a few like months or weeks, everybody's gonna be like, the Jurassic World franchise, including Jurassic World 1, was an awesome franchise. So everybody's gonna remember that as a classic. It also depends on the generation, because the younger kids are gonna remember more than we do, because we grew up on Jurassic Park and we love Jurassic Park way more than Jurassic World. So it also depends on the generation.
It really does. And I think overall, I personally would say Jurassic World is great, but as a movie in general, here's the kicker. Yeah.
Can you give a rating out of all the Jurassic Park movies, like out of 10, so I can get an idea by how great it is for you?
Out of 10?
Out of 10.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, I mean, if we're going by like JP1 being 10 out of 10 for me, which it is in my opinion, not only as a JP movie, but as just a movie in general, like it's just so good.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. But if we're going by like JP movies, 1993 JP being 10 out of 10, I would probably put Jurassic World as like personally. This is not me objectively.
Yeah,
personally, 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. That's pretty decent. Okay.
But I think objectively as a movie, I do not think that Jurassic World is going to be remembered as a great movie. I think it's going to be remembered as a franchise film, much like a lot of the Marvel movies. You know, a lot of the Marvel movies are never going to, I think besides the Avengers, the original Avengers, 2012, Infinity War and Endgame, I think those are going to be remembered as great movies, but I don't think that the other movies in between are going to be remembered as great. They're going to be remembered as like the franchise films.
Just like, for example, after I think like in like 10 years or 20 years, like what you said, I think, for example, Ant-Man, it won't be as famous and like nobody will care about it because the newer generation, they didn't really grow up with Ant-Man.
Right.
So they're going to be like, I really don't care. Maybe the Avengers. I see what you mean. So that might happen to the Jurassic World franchise as well.
Right, but
Maybe.
I mean, the fact is though, this franchise is still moving forward because like just like what we're talking about with these MCU films, people are still going to look back and go like, oh yeah, this built up to the point of where we are now. This movie that I enjoy now, you know, like in 10 years, what Marvel movie are we going to have? I mean, it's hard for me to believe that Marvel will just fizzle out over time. I think that the interest will wane from where it was, but I don't think that it's ever going to go away permanently. It's still going to make money, and it's going to be somebody's favorite movie in 10 years, like, you know, like a female Thor or whatever, you know, like whatever superhero movie comes out in the future is going to be somebody's favorite, and that won't exist without the MCU existing and being brought up to that point. And so I think that hopefully Jurassic World will have that same bright future, but you know, it wasn't possible without Jurassic World reinvigorating the franchise.
I agree. I really agree on that one.
But with all that being said, that's all the time that we've got for today. Teshe, thank you so much for joining me on Dino Park Media today. Is there anything, any final things that you want to say before we sign off here?
Well, before signing off, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be on this Jurassic World interview. It means a lot. I really enjoyed talking to you. And all I wanted to say is Jurassic World is a great movie. If you guys haven't watched Jurassic World, please, 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 I recommend you guys to watch it. It is a great movie. Like, even though, like I said earlier, I spoiled myself some of the plot scenes from the movie, it is nonetheless a great movie. So I recommend you guys to watch it. And thank you for inviting me over once again to your interview. Samuel.
Oh, of course.
Dino Park Media.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure having you on, Teshe. And make sure to go and check out Teshe's channel on YouTube here. He does a lot of Jurassic Park videos and a lot of video game videos as well. Some Star Wars Battlefront videos that have been fun. So make sure to check out Teshe's channel, as well as if you enjoyed this video and you think that we deserve it, we would like to have you subscribe to Dino Park Media and be a part of what we are doing here on YouTube. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Have a great rest of your day and know you are loved.